And I'm joined by Brewers outfield prospect and man, I mean, one of the hottest hitters of the entire season last year, Joey Wiemer. Joey, great to talk to you again. And once again, congrats on just an unbelievable season last year.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I mean, I feel like I just have to start with like the super surface level basic question of just how was the season for you, man? I mean, 27 jacks, 30 stolen bases. Did you expect to be flirting with 30-30 going into your pro debut? I mean, it was just amazing to watch.
Yeah, I mean, you always have high hopes for yourself. Started the season pretty slow. I was pretty middle of the pack, I'd say, probably just hitting 240, couple pumpies. And, kind of just started to figure it out and never looked back.
So, can you talk a little bit about what figuring it out entailed? Like, what was it that clicked for you? I mean, you were a good college player. Of course, you put up good numbers in the Cape. I mean, there's a reason why you were drafted, but that like explosion was just a different notch, right? Just a different level of Joey Wiemer that we knew was in there. I mean, that's why scouts were always saying, I mean, the tools are there. He's got all the intangibles. But what was it that really clicked for you, like from 0 to 100?
Yeah, so I think we actually talked about this,
Yeah.
the last time we had talked, but it was just I was hitting the ball fine. I was making good contact. I was hitting the ball hard, but I was just hitting a lot of ground balls, a lot of hard outs, and it was really just starting lowering my load, just kind of quieting down, a little head movement as well, and just getting the ball in the air, and the results came with that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We talked about that in the middle of it, right? Like right when you were making the high A jump. And for those that may not have caught that episode on Locked On MLB Prospects, it was so cool to talk to you during that. And now looking back at it, though, that was one of those things where you're tearing up low A, and the classic, I guess, statement that always comes with it is like, okay, well, let's see him do it at the next level. And
Yeah.
so you go up to high A, and you're even better. Was it 13 home runs in 30 something games? Everything stayed consistent across the board in terms of your numbers. You just continued to mash. What was the big adjustment? I mean, obviously, you didn't have much of an adjustment period going from low A to high A. Was there any difference for you jumping up that level in terms of what you saw pitch wise, what you were seeing? Obviously, the numbers were fine, so or better. But was there any adjustment that you had to make at the plate?
Yeah, no, I honestly was more comfortable hitting at high A, and I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago. Actually, I feel like I had more of an idea of what they were trying to do to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because in low A there was the stuff was the same at both levels. The guys are gross, right? But in low A, there's a lot of times where you get a ball at your eyes, and then the next pitch is accidentally dotted low and out, and so you had no idea really what's going on. In high A, I felt like there was more control, so I had more of an idea of what they were trying to do, and that just I was more comfortable at the plate that way.
That's like the effectively wild type.
Yeah, yeah,
That makes sense because I've heard that before. But at the end of the day, you talk about it. Guys are so gross now that for some hitters, when guys start to be able to command those secondaries, it's a lot to overcome in high A once you make that jump. You say that you were able to kind of understand how guys were going to attack you. How was that? Because you were somebody that really was, I'm assuming every time you were playing somebody, pitcher and the catcher are talking about how the heck are we going to get Joey Wiemer out because nobody was doing it for most of the year. What did you notice in how they were attacking you as a hitter or trying to get you out?
a lot of off speed, and I guess I still don't really understand because I mean, if you look at my splits, like I hit off speed fine. So honestly, I was able to just sit on it a lot. In high A, I feel like not that you're guessing pitches, but and like I talked about having a plan, I feel like I knew I was going to get a lot of it, and I was. So just going with that.
I'm really excited to go over that with you too, because at the end of the episode, we're gonna go through a couple ABs where that was what stood out to me was the approach pitch to pitch. I was trying to put myself in your shoes going through some of these ABs, like what would I be looking for here? What would I be looking for here? And I was just so amazed at your ability to adjust to the breaking ball in counts that you might not expect it in, or a weird, unique sequence where a guy doubles up on the breaking ball, goes to the fastball, and you're still able to react there. How do you find the balance of knowing you can hit everything without getting caught in between, right? Because you have the confidence of being able to hit all different types of offerings, But at the same
Hmm.
time, other guys may have to guess a specific pitch and hunt that specific pitch. How do you know that you can kind of hit everything, but without getting caught in between all of those pitches?
Yeah, to me, that's just going in the box and competing. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it does matter your cage work and everything. But at the end of the day, it's when you get in the box, it's you versus the pitcher. Um, so it's just see the ball out of the hand and hit it, and that's my thought process when I hit. Is I'm not thinking about how I'm loading my back scap or what I'm doing in the swing. It's just going out there and competing. Hit the ball hard and run.
How often do people talk to you about your unique hitting mechanics? How often is that brought up to you about the way you
Yeah,
are in the box?
yeah, I get it a lot, and it's funny, and it's even funnier with the Twitter hitting gurus. My funk and unorthodox. It's who I am. It's how I hit. It's what I do. So it's fun to me.
I've noticed that, man. Like I've noticed a incoming wave of Twitter hitting gurus and
Yeah,
Instagram and everywhere. What has been your experience with the hitting gurus saying like this is
just my
crazy?
swing sucks. It'll never work. Every level I go, it's going to get worse. And okay,
Okay, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, did you see there was a Twitter thread, I think it was a couple days ago, about the dude talking about Mike Trout's swing.
yeah, yes,
That was
yes.
that's a prime example. That was the funniest thing ever.
That was
It's a pitching machine swing. He's gonna hit 150, and I was cracking up.
like that has to be validating for you, right? I mean, like
Yeah,
if people are going after Mike Trout's swing, you just have to know like it just
yeah.
is. But I've noticed that because one of my close friends, Griffin Conine, is the biggest swing junkie ever, and he's always
Mhm.
sending me videos and accounts and stuff, and I think it messed with my algorithm. So now on different social media stuff, I get a lot of these hitting guru accounts, and I'm like, these guys
Yeah,
they don't get it. Like it's not cookie
yeah,
cut, and
yeah,
for you, you're proving it, right? Like you're proving that it's not cookie cut. But the thing is I feel like you achieve all of the same things that every other good hitter is trying to achieve, which is you talk about getting that weight into your backside. You talk about being, more in your legs and lifting. Like, aren't those all things that hitters try to do just in different ways? How
yeah,
how do you get into
yeah.
that?
And everyone works different. At the end of the day, hitting's about being on time. Pitching's about getting a hitter off his timing. Like you can have the world's best swing. If you're late, you're late. If you're out front, you're gonna roll over. Like just being on time and competing.
So how are you on time with all of that going on? Because that's the reason why I think people may say, "Oh, it doesn't work," because it wouldn't work for them. It's
Yeah,
it's something that like if I'm trying to do that, I'm not going to be able to time it up because I'm not athletic enough to do that, or just also just the way I hit that wouldn't be able to work for me. But it works for you. When did you start kind of hitting that way, and why do you think it works for you so well?
yeah. I've always been funky. Like early high school, I had a really open stance. Went to a leg kick, lost it. Went to college, big leg kick, cut down the leg kick. Now I got a toe tap. Like I've been all over the board with it. But at the end of the day, once I get into my hitting slot, if you take a picture of it, I look the same as everybody else. My launch positions now I am a little more spread out, but again, it's just how you get there, and then once you're there, it's hitting.
Talking about hitting breaking balls, and you were saying how you saw a lot more of them, and the numbers are pretty crazy across the board. I mean, fastball is 1100 OPS, breaking ball is nearly a 900 OPS, which is fantastic. And most guys in the minors are, that's the big gap. And then changeups, you also hit really well. What do you attribute that to? Is that being able to stay back more easily because of the adjustments you've made with being a little bit wider? Like, how are you able to adjust pitch to pitch, and even if you're fooled, be able to stay back and drive the ball?
Yeah, I wish I had that like answer 100%. But I think it's just seeing the ball out of the hand well, and just doing what I need to do physically to get there. And that's kind of just all natural reactions.
It's funny because some of the best hitters, they can't really explain it.
Don't know what you do.
Yeah, I mean they say Mickey Mantle
Yeah,
could never tell you how to hit a baseball. He
yeah.
just
No, it's funny because I talk to guys in the cage all the time. Like, what do you think about when you do this? I'm like, dude, I don't know. I just hit.
What sometimes I think it's become, and hitting is so hard now. You talk about how guys are gross in low A, they're gross in high A, and it gets worse and worse for hitters the higher you go. But that's kind of resulted in a lot of people, I think, overthinking, right, and trying to
Yeah,
micromanage every move.
and that's why I'm big on the mindset I have is like they have controllables as a pitcher. Like you're the one throwing the ball, you're controlling what happens. As a hitter, you're reacting. So if I'm trying to think about his 4 pitches and his 8 approaches he has to a hitter, like I'm gonna overthink, and at the end of the day, like it's gonna cause me harm as opposed to just okay, me versus you, like let's go.
That's the best point there. And on the defensive side, that's something that we talked about it when you were on the podcast a little while back about maybe getting a little bit of run in center. You're a good athlete, predominantly playing in the corners. How did you see any difference, or did you see any difference on the defensive side in terms of the way the bat or the ball comes off the bat in the outfield? Was that any different for you going into pro ball and then going up to high A in terms of just reads and stuff out there?
No, I feel like outfield's it's all the same everywhere. I take pride in my defense, but I think about defense less than I think about how I hit. Like for me, playing outfield is you got to know your situations as base runners, but like balls in the air, go get it. It's on the ground, get it, throw it in. Like it just simple.
No, because that's another thing where like you look at scout write-ups and you look at stuff like that. It's about like the reads, the routes, the jumps, all of those things. Again, that's one of those things you just reps. Like how do you feel like you've gotten better and better with those reads and routes? Because you said you take pride in the defense, but again,
Yeah.
without overthinking it and all of those things, because that's as reactionary as it gets too.
Yeah, and a big thing for me with becoming a good outfielder is really like, and what I would tell young outfielders or someone coming up wanting to get better in the outfield, like take BP seriously. Like that's would be my number one thing because like you can take as many machine fly balls and coach hit fly balls as you want, but if you're not seeing live reads off the bat, you're not going to get any better doing it. So just I don't know, having fun and going hard in BP like that, you'll get so much better defensively.
I love that. I love that because you always see the fungos on the side during BP, in high school or whatever it is. I think they might even do it in college too. And
Yeah.
really, the best reps you can get is off that live bat.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
live
You
read.
get different spins. I mean, anything coach. Now I understand infielders taking it, but like outfielders, any fungo outfield you're gonna get, it's all the same backspin, tossed up, like same flight pattern. But in the game, that you're gonna get so many different side spins and backspins and top spins and inside out swings. So like just seeing everything and having a good idea where the ball is gonna end up, like just I don't know, take that seriously.
So something that stuck with me last time we talked, I was asking you about the stolen bases because you had stolen 22 in low A around the time we talked. And early in the season, they had some weird rules as it pertained to holding guys on and things like that. And I'm pretty sure you were like, I didn't even really pay attention to that. I was just stealing.
Yeah.
And they end up walking back those weird rules about pickoffs and all those things by the second half of the season. And you were in high A at that point too, and you swiped 8 more bags on 10 tries, giving you 30 stolen bases on the year. I mean, you're a good runner, of course. I mean, you're fast. You got long strides. You get to where you need to go quickly. But I don't think anybody was saying, oh, Joey Wiemer, yeah, the guy that's going to steal 30 bags next year. Like, I don't know if that was ever the expectation. I don't say that in a negative way in any
Yeah.
way, but like it was a surprise, and it was really cool to see. Were you expecting that to be a part of your game? And when did you start realizing like, hey, I can start just swiping bags a little bit more than I thought?
Yeah, no, and that's another funny thing about, some of my reports is my speed's going to regress. I don't even know what that means in terms of like how you can tell, but whatever.
No, that's my favorite. Is the 50
No, yeah,
present run, 45 future.
future, yeah.
You can predict how his body like
All right,
ages.
yeah, like I'm gonna get slower. Now maybe when I'm like 35, I'll probably start slowing down. But back to the point. No, I've always been a base stealer. And that's something else I pride my game on is being good on the base paths. I think my junior year of college, we got cut short, so I can't claim any numbers there. But my sophomore year, I think I was like 21 of 23 or something.
Yep.
So I've always been, someone that can run. So I don't know. I think that'll stay up. I think I'll always be a base stealer, until I'm not.
Yeah, what's interesting is we've seen that become a little bit more antiquated in the game today, where you just don't see players running as much. But if you're able to have that success rate like you had of about 80% or better, statistically speaking, it's still worth it. For you, are you picking pitches to run on, more situations to run on, a little bit of both? Because we see some guys in the big leagues that aren't fast, like not even nearly as fast as you are, but will pick up 10, 15 bags a year just on situationally running. How much of that do you do, or how much of it is just picking the right spot in terms of pitch or just situation?
Yeah, I'm a big situational guy. And like I said, I know I could run. I'm not a 6'2", 6'3" runner by any means. But just knowing when it's time, and not even situation like during the game, but just the pitcher. I mean, if someone's got a good move and they're 1-1, I'm staying at first. Like, I'm not going anywhere. But if they're a little lazy with it, and even if they're pretty quick but aren't, they don't have good move, or run on the catcher a lot, they're spiking something like, and counts are a big one too. Like, I mean, okay, it's 0-2. He's going to go high fastball. Okay, now he's going to spike one. Run here. So it's just knowing when to go.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that's become so in vogue in baseball now is the high fastball. Was that something that you were surprised about a little bit? Every guy I've talked to hitting wise are like, so many high spin fastballs elevated. I know you said you got a lot of breaking balls, but did you feel like that was something that was definitely an obvious trend through minor
Oh
league
yeah,
baseball, was the high spin
absolutely.
elevated heaters?
hmm And it's something I struggled with at the beginning of the year, chasing up. So lowering my sights was big for me too. But yeah, a lot more. You get a lot more high fastballs and low fastballs, which is, I guess, the new normal. But it seems kind of crazy.
Can you expand it on that a little bit about how you were able to adjust your approach to that? Because you said, kind of leaving it up there. How often are those, if you leave it, called for a strike versus do you feel like the percentages are in your favor where if you don't pull the trigger, it's probably going to be a ball up and you just wait to see something down?
Yeah, most of the time it's called a ball up. So you just got to see something down. But that was a big, just getting over the ego of thinking you can hit it. Like, because like I said, at the beginning of the year, I was chasing it every time. It looked so good out of the hand. I think I have good hands. I can get there. And then, finally I was like, dude, what am I doing? Like, just don't swing at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, just getting back to getting the pitches, I can handle better. Um, and if it's something I need to hit at the top of the zone for a strike, okay, I will. But like, just leaving the high and up, like, just let it go.
It's the hardest pitch to hit, I think, right? I mean, obviously a well executed changeup is probably the most difficult, but would you say
Mhm.
that riding fastball that is right at the top of the strike zone, that's got to be one of the hardest pitches to get to?
Yeah, no, it's a good pitch.
Yeah.
And like I said, it looks really good until it's not.
Until it's not.
But it's a good pitch.
So you had a brief cameo in the fall league and did just more of the same, which was in 9 games hitting 467, 568, 667. You said before we started recording that it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool areas in the fall league. The teams are in cool spots. The fields are nice. It's a lot of different players from all over the map, just looking to get some extra run. You were fantastic for those 9 games. What was that experience like? And then also, I want to ask you about how the ball carries out there because I've heard mixed
Yeah.
things about that, and I want to see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Really good clubhouse, really good guys, a lot of talent, a lot of fun, great fields, great environments. We were out in Scottsdale,
Yeah, there you go.
so that, yeah, you couldn't ask for a better place to be. But yeah, I loved every second of it out there. The ball carried well. We were using, big league balls and out in the desert, so you can't really ask for a better combo.
Yeah, that was what I really wanted to ask too, because I was kind of sure that it was big league balls. How different do the big league baseballs feel off the bat versus the minor league balls?
I didn't realize it until like you pull up the data and exit velos, because there were some balls like I think I hit probably 3 or 4 balls like 110, and I didn't think I hit them that hard. So
Really?
like yeah, I feel like they're just more jumpy. But we were also using those. after like 2 weeks, those like newer tack balls they were trying, and I like those a lot.
It's wild how just the change in baseballs can make such a big difference for the way the bat or the ball just flies off the bat. And that's why I think a lot of people are saying, maybe take the Arizona Fall League stats with a grain of salt. But at the same time, you still got to hit the baseball, right? I mean,
It
it
Yeah,
I
I don't
really
understand
get
that. Like the
angry.
arms out there are gross.
Yeah, like that's the arms, and people were saying like, oh, the arms aren't as good as previous years. I'm watching. I'm like, there's some dudes out here, man. Like I feel like environment's important, right? But unless you're playing at like massive altitude, I feel like it doesn't make that big of a difference. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously some balls are going to carry out more than others, but if you're hitting at 110, what's the difference if it was 107 instead? I mean, that
Yeah.
ball's still going, right?
Yeah, and again, back to like the stats out there, you can't really look into them. Like it's such a small sample size. But like, I don't understand trying to discredit somebody for hitting well out there when like the guys they're gross. You know, the arms are gross. It's a tough place to hit. Now I know it was pretty hitter friendly this year, but I mean there were some dudes hitting too, so it was just a great combo.
Your team was extremely talented. On top of yourself, you had some other big name prospects that had great years. Who stood out to you in terms of just some of these guys you don't get to cross paths with, which is the cool part, right? They're different levels, different
Mhm.
leagues, and now you get to see some guys that maybe you didn't see hit much. Who stood out to you on your Arizona Fall League team that could swing?
Yeah, obviously Torque. He
Oh
only got
yeah,
to play a couple of games, but like just watching his BP, like he is such a good pure hitter outside of hitting whatever it's however many pumpies he's going to hit in his career. But another guy that I never got to see that looked really good at the plate was Beatty. I like I said never got to see him, but he's a pure hitter. There was a lot of guys I could go on about, but it was fun to be a part of that lineup.
what about on the pitching side? There was a lot of guys that were reliever types, which kind of sucks for you because it's like the power reliever
Just a
coming.
lot of power arms, yeah,
Yeah, like guys that just needed more innings, and the
yeah,
reliever types that were coming out and pumping, and then you had like the Owen Whites of the world who hadn't pitched in forever and comes back and looks like he, was just coming off of a Cy Young season. You had some really nasty guys out there. I think there was just a wide range of guys kind of rehabbing almost, using it as an opportunity to come back, and then guys that were just like fresh and just needed more innings. And he had a
yeah.
little
Just
bit of
throwing a
that.
100 mile an hour bowling balls.
Yeah. What stood out to you the most? Was there anybody that you're like, holy crap, who is this guy? This is nasty. Because you don't get scouting reports, right?
Yeah, no scouting reports. I mean, a little bit of pregame video, but like it's just going out there, pretty fresh and just hitting. One guy that stood out to me that he's not like a sleeper prospect, but someone that I hadn't got to see was Landon Mack.
Mm-hmm.
He was legit. Really really good command, really really good stuff, and just he's a pitcher on top of how gross his stuff is.
I can't remember. We're gonna go through the at bats on the end of this, on the back end, going over a couple of your ABs to take us through your approach. I know that there was a Landon Knack AB I was looking at, but I don't know if we ended up sticking that one in there. But there's a couple of really good ABs from the Arizona Fall League, one from the season that I'm excited to go over with you. But I also have to mention you got the flag behind your right shoulder, the Cincinnati Bearcats,
Yeah.
where you play ball, and you got an awesome shirt that says "How about them Bearcats?" How was this season for you, watching the football team, make it all the way to the playoff? Obviously, not the finish you would have wanted, but I mean, I think anybody would take that. I grew up a University of Miami fan. Hell, I'd take that season every day of the week.
Yeah, no, it was awesome to just kind of get to experience that. I actually got to go to the game in Dallas,
Oh no way!
so yeah, it was really cool. They had
How's the
a
stadium?
hell of a year. Yeah, that was I've never been there. Um, it was different.
It's
But,
unbelievable. What about on the track, like on the road in the minor leagues so far? Have you had a favorite spot that you've stopped so far?
um, I don't know. I don't feel like there was any like away place. I really enjoyed my time in Carolina. Really enjoyed my time in Wisconsin too. But honestly, probably Carolina.
And going back to Cincinnati, where the team, you guys had success in 2019, correct? Winning the conference that year.
Mhm.
How was that season finishing up there? You guys had a good ball club. There's a lot of history there, but history is the key word. You guys had not made the NCAA tournament since 1974. prior to getting there in 2019. What was that year like? And excuse my ignorance on the ball club. Did you guys have a lot of guys returning for 2020? Did you feel like you had a chance to get back there when the season was cut short?
Yeah, I think that 2020 team was nearly just as good as that 2019 team. But yeah, that 2019 run was awesome. We had a pretty solid year, and then come tournament time, we were as hot as we could be. And then kind of just ran into that Michigan squad who ended up going to the finals.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was really fun to be a part of. We were up, I think 4-1, like the 6th or 7th of that Michigan game too. But always looking back at it, could have been better.
Still a great finish, and I mean, there's a lot of alumni that, and I don't know if people realize that Cincinnati has some big time alumni, and I think you're going to be one of those notable names on the list as we look down the road. But there had not been somebody drafted as high as, or even in the top 5 rounds, since Ian Happ in 2015. So going through your recruiting process, where else did you look? How did you decide on Cincinnati? And beyond that, did you feel like you still would have had a chance at Cincinnati? Yes, there's a really good alumni and history there, but it had been a little bit of time since someone had been drafted in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah, I don't know. I really liked how everything played at Cincy. It's like a good distance from home, probably 3.5 hours. Far enough to be away, but close enough to get back whenever. And just I like the facilities a lot. It was probably my best financial opportunity with baseball as well. So everything kind of just played out perfectly there.
Some other notable alumni, and ironically, Kevin Youkilis, who probably got his fair share of flack for the way he hit, and I think he did just fine.
I think.
Did anybody ever bring that up to you? Like, Uke went through the same thing.
No, I haven't really talked about it. The Uke comparison, just hitting wise. But he's been back around a lot. He's a really good dude. He talked to us actually before that 2019 final when we were at Oregon State. So he's around. He's always at the golf outing. Really good dude.
That was going to be my other question, because one of my other favorite big leaguers is Josh Harrison, and Josh Harrison's another guy I didn't know went to Cincinnati. Have you seen him or Ian Happ ever come around?
I got to see Harrison. He came and talked at a banquet once, but I have not got to see Happer.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. The alumni, you look at any big school and you're like surprised at how many guys just come out of there. And then of course Sandy Koufax. Is there like signage on Koufax like everywhere, all over?
Yeah, he's in a couple pictures and like Lidner and stuff. So that's really cool.
Got to ask you too about the Super Bowl. So I mean, you told me before we recorded you're not necessarily a diehard Bengals fan, but you're a Bengals fan moving forward.
For the time being.
Sorry, what was that?
That's it, for the time being.
For the time being.
Got to stay true to my Lions, but for the time being, I'm a Bengals fan.
Tough year for the Lions. How do we feel about Dan Campbell?
I love him. I
He's
think,
the man.
Yeah, his energy is amazing. So I like him moving forward. Hopefully the Lions can be good one day, but who knows about that?
Well, I mean, Cincinnati, you got to have a lot of friends really amped up for the Super Bowl. What's your pick there?
I'm gonna get crucified for saying this, but I think I want to see the Rams win more, just because. Well, I'm a huge Stafford fan.
True, you just said Lions.
He's gotten so much hate his entire career for not winning, but he was in Detroit.
Yes.
So I'm really excited. I'm gonna be stoked if the Bengals win too, but I think I want to see Stafford do it more.
I'm in the same boat. I think this has to be the most likable QB matchup ever.
I agree with that.
You're happy either way. So excited to see how that shakes out too. But to wrap up on the podcast side before we jump on and go over some video real quick, I just wanted to talk about next year, right? I mean, you couldn't have had a better first season. I know now, knowing you, now that this is the second time we've done an interview, I'm not going to ask you like what your thoughts are in terms of how you're going to adjust to AA, because I know you're going to say a lot of things, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in terms of approach, I think that's something that you can always feel out and get better at and just continue to be more educated on how you're going to be attacked, like you were talking about in high A. Double A pitchers are a little bit more advanced. Have you talked to any guys that played at that level about, what you might see, what the differences are, what that big jump is like? And I know you're not going to change your game, but just mentally, is there anything that you're expecting or getting mentally prepared for to make that big jump? Because that's kind of the last big jump before the bigs.
Yeah, and I'll need to feel it out at first. I mean, I'll probably have my cookie cutter. Someone's probably going to go hard and soft away, a lot of until I start to get a feel for what they're trying to do to me. But as of right now, it's just, I don't know, just getting my off season work in, getting myself best prepared physically, and then just figuring them out and hitting it.
I mean, I admire your approach so much because I was through high school the biggest overthinker when it comes to hitting, and I know a lot of people that end up thinking themselves into a hole. And sometimes it needs to just be as easy as see ball, hit ball, especially when you got the physical tools that you have. Joey, I mean, I'm so amped to see what you're going to do this coming season. Always rooting for you through the way. And as I said before we started recording, I would check in every couple of weeks or every week or so. Like, all right, what are Joey's stats now? Like, let's see how he's doing. Just naturally expecting you to be like a normal human and have like a 900 OPS or something. And it just wouldn't stop. It was one of the more amazing things I've seen. We're going to go over the specific swings. And for those that are listening to the podcast, the link will be in the description to go over to the YouTube video to see Joey talking about how he just sees the ball and hits it. But there'll be a little bit more than that because we have some really cool ABs where he works some good counts and puts some good swings on balls. But Joey, thanks so much for taking the time on the podcast side. And let's talk some swings.
Let's do it.